What a nightmare. Um, I have an iPad Pro here, 9.7 inch, and you can tell by the three connectors that are horizontal. And the problem with this thing was initially the display. It was just the black display. It wasn't a backlight issue or anything like that. And I'm going to save that for another video when I get another one in. But that was also a beast to repair. It took us a few days to do that because there are no schematics for these things. And yeah, you have no schematics, you're flying blind. There's nothing in ZXW or anything like that. So the secondary problem, which is the more common problem, is the battery connector. These things are just awful. They use so much glue and tape adhesive on this logic board that people tend to mess up the battery connector when they try to isolate the battery. And usually, you're taught to stick a guitar pick under it like this, but it's so hard to get under that people just push and push, and then they have these little, I'll show you under a microscope, but you have these little things right here, and when you slide your tool under it, you push it, and it breaks, So as you can see here, there's two of them that are broken, and the symptoms, one of the symptoms, well, it depends which pin it is, but it was charging at 1.5 amps, no problems. The only problem was that the battery percentage was not increasing past 1%. So I'm assuming that one or both of these is the battery gas gauge. I think it was this one that was completely done. So I think this is probably the gas gauge right here. We can probably diode mode it and figure it out. But this happens all the time, and this is probably going to be a pretty big problem, I imagine, for people doing screen repairs on these things. So I'm going to kind of just show you what it looks like. So it's like that, whatever. You stick your pry tool under there, isolate it, and boom, it's dead. And so what we did was we just started using these little plastic tools or things that we made here, and we just slide it on just really thin, and that's really what you want to use. You don't want to use anything too thick, like a guitar pick, a thick guitar pick at least. If you have a thin one, that's fine. Let's see. So the worst thing about disassembling this iPad was it's a nightmare to disassemble. By the way, they use so much adhesive and tape and stuff like that that it is such a mess. Man, oh man. So that alone, I mean, it's probably gonna take longer to disassemble a logic board than it is to actually fix the battery connector here. And there's no way to fix the battery connector aside from disassembling the logic board. So the hardest part really is this flex up top here. I mean, there's two speakers up here, and they're just kind of pumped in like this, and there's just really solid adhesive that sticks all around this whole thing. And then they also put this little flex at the top here that you have to flip over because it's attached like this. So if you start pulling this thing off, and this thing may come along with it. If this thing comes along with it and tears, then you have to replace this entire flexor here, which is a pain in the butt. And the other problem was, they put this adhesive on this flex right here. It's the dumbest thing ever. Why didn't they just put it here? It doesn't make sense. So they put it on this flex, so you can't just like rip it, otherwise this thing's gonna rip. So you want to stick some sort of tool, plastic tool or whatever, metal tool, and just kind of start sliding it down like this, and all the way down like this, and then just make sure you flip this little sensor over before you rip this thing off, and then you're good. Okay, so and then you all you need to do is just slide your spudger under here, and make sure you don't bend the logic board too much. I think I bent this just a little bit, and that's really about it. So the hardest part is just disassembling this thing. Now let's get back to the task at hand, which is to replace this battery connector. Alright, so how are we going to do this? Well, it looks like they use some lead-free solder here. So first thing to do is just try to remove it. Actually, I think you said remove the metal shield, right? Is that what you said? Alright. This is my first time doing it. So I was told to remove this metal shield first. So I'm going to use some sort of little screwdriver or something. I don't think I even have a little screwdriver. Ugh. Little screwdriver, where are you? One time I need a little screwdriver and I can't find a little screwdriver. Flathead. Alright, whatever. Okay, let's try this one. It's not a little screwdriver, but... Okay, so I'm just gonna pop this thing off right here. This metal thing. It's actually held in place by solder, but this is the old one, so... I don't even know. Let's see, okay. Hold on a second. So this is all plastic. Okay, so... Do I even need... Hold up, why did I take the metal thing off, man? What's the purpose of taking this metal thing off?
So that you can desolder this connector. Because the pins are
Underneath of it, but what's the... oh, okay. You're saying that right there? Alright, let me just try to do it. Whatever. Alright, so I'm going to flood this mother with flux. I'm going to use some... some low melt solder, which is tin bismuth. And I'm just going to low melt this whole thing because this is all lead free, I believe. It looks like it's lead free. So I've got low melt, tin bismuth. And then I think I don't know. I feel like I should just use heat, man. No? You don't think I should use heat and push it? Or something? No? What do you think? Think that's a bad idea? Alright, so I'm just gonna like use a little bit of heat and then I'm just gonna like push down on it. Maybe. I should just use brute strength. The hell? Oh, there it goes. It's a good way to mess up your tweezers for sure. Anyways. Alright, so that is removed. Hopefully I did not damage anything. So you can see it is removed now. Wasn't too hard to remove. So let's go to the top side here. That doesn't look too bad. There is a little processor of some sort there. So let's just remove some of the old solder using some wick. As much as possible at least. Man, I need to roll out of here. Okay. So what are we doing here? More flux. More flux, and then we just wick it until we get as much as off as possible. Okay, there we go. So you want clean wick. That's when you do your best work. Clean wick. You can probably put a little more low melt on there. That'd probably help. Okay, we'll get the other side on that one. Okay, let's flip it over. Actually, let's clean this up a little bit first. Okay. It's not even in frame. Are you guys watching the whole thing out of frame? Okay. So I can get this one in frame. Okay, here you go. Alright, so let's do the same to this side too. And then let's get everything. Clean it all up before the fun begins. Okay, it's clean, clean, clean. Clean wick. This is definitely really hard. I think that's probably clean enough, maybe. Yeah, I think that's probably good enough. Okay. Then this. Okay, so I think. Oh, actually, probably bad idea to use my $40 tips to do this. Okay, that's good enough. All right, let's clean this sucker up. Okay. New battery connector. You guys are gonna have some fun doing this, and I think this is gonna be a pretty common problem. So I'd probably stock up on some connectors. Unfortunately. All right, so there's not a whole lot to this really. You just need to make sure you fit it in right. Just make sure it goes through the entire hole, which this side is not right now. So this side is not really going all the way in. With understandably, because it's. I'm just gonna see if I can clean this up a little bit better. Where's my little tiny wick at? There it is. Mini wick. Okay. This is not good. Let me use a little bit of low melt. Maybe that'll help. That should be good. Now it's kind of coming through a little bit, a lot better, and it's pretty flush. I can feel it from the top here. It's pretty flush. So there's really not a whole lot to it from here. This is really through hole soldering. So flood it with flux again. And then just through hole that sucker. So I'm just going to kind of push down on it. And then I'll just kind of anchor it first. So just like that. And then like that. Okay, so make sure this is nice, and this is all the way seated in first. And then after that, you can kind of just push down a little bit and go to town. Okay, this must be a ground plane right here, because it's a little bit harder to melt the solder. And that's it. We are back in business. So that wasn't too hard. Yeah, that wasn't too hard. Clean this mother up from all the old flux. Make sure there are no bridges. Looks pretty good. Top side. Clean this up as well. And I think I can probably touch. No, I don't need to touch that up. Yeah, this is good. This is solid. Yeah, so we're good. So let's just put this back and then test it, and then I can meet my deadline of leaving by 2:30. All right, so I powered it up, held my breath. I always, you always hold your breath when you do these repairs. I mean, which is probably why a lot of people enjoy doing this, because you never know what you're gonna get when you power this thing on. And then when you see that Apple logo, there's a big deep sigh of relief. So I powered it up, and it's showing 13% now. Before it was showing 1%, so that's good. And when I plug into the ammeter, it shows 1.45 amps. So that is good news. I'm gonna probably put this back together and let it charge overnight. Hopefully it goes up to 100%. And I think we're back in business. Yeah, I mean, this was the connector was actually a fairly easy repair. It was just really disassembling this stupid thing that took forever, which is really a nightmare. So yeah. Yeah. So I guess symptoms are 1%, 1% battery, or yeah. You know, it never moves above 1%. Another symptom could be it shows charging, but it actually doesn't charge. So it could be stuck somewhere. So that's one thing. That's it really. And then the no display, I'll get to that another time, because I don't really want to. Well, I've already done the repair, so I can't really go back and show you what I did. So I'll do it next time. But anyways, I always like waiting a little bit. Anyways, I like waiting 2 or 3 repairs in or something like that before I reveal it. All right. Well, thanks for watching. This is an iPad Pro 9.7 battery connector repair, which is going to be a common problem. I'm pretty certain of that. Thanks for watching. So I just want to say thank you for watching this channel, and I wanted to promote our online microsoldering course. We have it hosted at udemy.com, and it's at this point it's 4 hours of video instruction. The reviews are pretty good, and we talk about everything from the basics of an iPhone logic board, and then we have a section on ZXW tools. Um, we have a little section about how to set up your hot air rework station, your micro soldering station, and how to use diode mode. The third part is the three most common repairs, which is no touch, no backlight, no charge. And the fourth part is all about data recovery. So if you go through our website, it's $100. And some people say that learning online is not the best way of doing things, or you can't learn microsoldering online. I beg to differ. I don't know about you guys, but I started watching YouTube videos when I first started about 3 years ago, and that's how I learned it. And not only that, but you go to a live course. Some people like live courses, but not everybody has $3,000 to spend on a live course, right? So, and then yes, you're right. You can go to YouTube and watch all these videos, but you're not gonna. When people make these videos, they don't go from A to Z. They usually start from somewhere in the middle because they assume that you watched something earlier on, or one of their earlier videos. So this course is all encompassing. It has everything from A to Z to help you get started in microsoldering, and we are adding stuff on a weekly, maybe monthly basis. And we're just gonna keep adding to this thing. And so if you want to get started, I mean, you could also take a class, but to get your feet wet, I think this is the best thing to do right here. And I vouch for it. Thanks for watching the video. I was also going to say, in order to buy it with a discount, $50 discount, just go to microsoldering.com, click on store, and then it's going to be the first item on here. You click on buy at Udemy, and they'll give you the $50 off. Thanks.